chat.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to the virtual Five Flag Speedway for the ONEwraps 150 tonight for the Windshield Deep Racing League. Thanks again for coming and hanging out with us. Sean, Kevin, and Rish here with you, bringing you all the action. 150 laps here around the virtual Five Flag Speedway, qualifying just concluding. So we'll go ahead and get started with the race in just a second. That should be grading up in just a second. So, Kevin, I know you're in a fantastic mood tonight. You're feeling really good about this race. So tell us, you've been around Five Flags once or twice on iRacing. What's the key to getting around this joint in these cars?
Well, it's a pretty interesting track. It's a half mile, but it's mostly speedway, mostly corners around this speedway. Sorry, it's very similar to what Atlanta is to the mile and a half. It's a lot of sweeping corners and very short straightaways here. So you got to position passes quickly down these very short curved speed straightaways here at Five Flags. Going to be really intriguing to see how these guys can develop passing with a low entry into the corner and a low exit. So you got to really position your car in the right place to maneuver through the field.
Absolutely. So you got the starting grid on the left-hand side of your screen here. So as you, Oliver Cordell sits on the pole for tonight alongside Grayson Ward. Casey Pierce is starting in third, but he's going to have to go to the back after finishing second last week. Landon Huffman is going to be rolling off in fourth. Andy Trupiano, Drew Cox, Spencer Dickinson, Seth Harrelson, Chris Davis, and Eric Wilson will round out the top 10, and you see the rest of the field on the left-hand side of your screen here. So I mentioned Casey Pierce will be going to the back. Also, one more driver in, I believe, Matt Kingsbury in the 51. He starts 11th, but he's going to start in the rear. He finished third last week, so he'll be starting in the back as well. Blake Reynolds is not here. He is participating in the Coke Series Clash tonight. So just two drivers going to the back. So I guess we get a quick update on the point standings here. We have a graphic up for tonight. So there you go. Casey Pierce is your current points leader, 83 points, a 2-point lead over Landon Huffman. So, Kevin, as we've seen in this series a lot, it might come down to the last race. We've had some really close battles the last couple seasons.
Yeah, and the one thing that seems to be the key to winning the championship is consistency. Landon Huffman, I would think at this point is the winningest driver here in the Windshield Deep League. Still does not have a championship, but right behind him, you have Matt Kingsbury and Andy Trupiano. Trupiano doing everything he needs to do to position himself for a third championship. Currently fourth in the points, but right now, Casey Pierce leads it with 2 races in the record books for season 3.
How about who sits in seventh? Look at Davey right there, just sitting in seventh. You love to see that. Field rolling off now as we're getting ready for one of 2 pace laps around Five Flags, and then we'll turn them loose. As there you see Casey Pierce on going to be on the right side of your screen, starting to go to the back. There you see a couple other drivers going to the back. Grayson Ward is going to the back as well for some reason. I guess he requested an end of longest line penalty. You can do that if you want to start in the back. So field making their way through turns 3 and 4. So this is going to be an interesting race. I mean, it's pretty much all the same with the Windshield Deep Racing League. There's going to be a lot of action, a lot of controversy, a lot of tempers potentially. But one thing is for certain, these guys know how to get these 87 cars around these short tracks, and it doesn't get much better than this if you like 87 cars and short tracks. A couple of the best here. So I think they're delaying the green, so we'll have one more pace lap before we go green again just to set the grid. And we should note, Kevin, the guys on the racetrack, they have one extra set of tires in the pits, so tire strategy is going to play a big part in today's race.
Yeah, we actually talked with Landon Huffman, the league owner and driver here. It's going to be, we're going green here, but it's going to be really intriguing to see how they're going to maneuver with that one set. They've had 2 extra sets in the pit road all year long, and they only have one set. As we're green here at Five Flags.
Looked like they were trying to wave the yellow again, but I guess they rescinded it. So Oliver Cordell gets a great start. Landon is going to fall behind him, and already I think this is... Oh, there is a crash. Jacob Bransky in the 03 is around in turn 1, and he just parks it against the wall, and I think we have our first claimed wreck. And I want to say no surprise here, but the 2 of Jack Bailey, I think, caused the first 2 wrecks last week at Bristol, and he's picking up right where he left off at Five Flags.
Yeah, poor Jacob Bransky.
Landon is laughing on the radio.
Yeah, didn't really have anywhere to go. Jack Bailey just getting in the back. He's been definitely an issue here at the Windshield Deep ONEwraps Racing League. It's been a tough year for that Century 21 number 2 machine. We'll see what they're going to do with him here as a penalty. Probably just going to throw him in along this line, but I know they have given harsher penalties for those who cause more consistently these cautions. So we are 2 laps in, working lap 3, and we're already under caution, Sean. Curious to see if this is a trend. We've seen this all year long, that cautions do indeed bring up more caution. So hopefully this is not going to be a trend for tonight.
Well, I mean, you can't. You're amazed, but you're not surprised, I think. So I need to get a word with Landon. What's with the maniacal laughter over the radio? Care to explain that?
Yeah, we had a. Am I unmuted? Yeah, okay. We had a bet going on in my stream today if Jack Bailey would be the first caution tonight, and lo and behold, flat ran over somebody. So, it never fails. I wish I'd have put money on it. I said he wouldn't be, and unfortunately, I was on the losing end of that one. So.
Why do you wish you put money on it then?
Because I'm saying I said he wouldn't be.
Oh, well, you're wrong. So you would have lost money.
Oh, never mind. You're right. I wish I would have bet the other way. Oh my god.
Unbelievable. You're going back green. I was mid commentary, and all of a sudden I just hear you just dying on the radio. So I'm not sure.
I mean, I was quite honestly the greatest thing that could have happened. I'm so happy it happened that way. I'm glad nobody got torn up. Yeah, I just seen it. I just seen it on the replay here. I got the broadcast pulled up, and he just flat drove over his left rear. That's okay though. Jack should be fine now. So we'll see.
Well,
depends on how many whiskeys he's had tonight.
He caused, I think, the first 2 last week. So I mean, he's still got 1 to go if he wants to pick up where he left off. But who knows? We'll see. But
that might have been the suspension cause of caution there. The only thing that's helped him is he's claimed every one of them. So if he keeps claiming them, he really won't be suspended. He'll just be put on probation.
So what's the penalty? What is the? I guess what sets him over the cliff if he does go from probation to suspension?
I'm not real sure. You'll have to ask race control RJ Williams on that one.
All right, I'll be sure to quiz RJ on that. I'll send you back down there, Landon. Good luck, man. Keep that thing clean.
All right, boys.
Well, off to a great start here, Kevin. So not even 1 lap in, and we're wrecking. So here we go. We're trying it again. Pace truck is off. Another great restart for Cordell. He's going to get away clean. Landon Huffman gets away clean. They're going to be side by side between Drew Cox and Andy Trupiano for third, as it looks like they get through turns 1 and 2 clean. We might have a race now.
Trupiano underneath that number 63 machine, going to solidly, looks like he's going to take that 3rd place position. Behind him, Spencer Dickinson looking to look low and continue that trend forward, try to get underneath. Drew Cox hearing contact in the back, not surprising there, but right now we're single file. Drew Cox with a big run out of turn 2, but looks to keep behind the number 7 machine.
I'm looking back here. We got a car that was way out of the groove in turn 1 and 2. That was the 15 of Ricky Harden, and they're all over the place back here. Kevin Light in the 25, just ahead, right next to Davey Davis there. They're way out of the groove, and they're all over the place back here, but it looks like they're slowly starting to file in. So we might have, I don't want to jinx it yet, but probably a little bit of a green flag run. As right now, back up front, it's all Oliver Cordell. He's just checked out so far. Last time by the line, he's got a 1.2 second lead over Landon Huffman. But Kevin, it looks like, as we mentioned, those guys are just in tire conservation mode. As you're looking at the first battle on your screen there, and it's starting to get antsy. Brian Smith, Cameron Bolin back there battling for the top 10.
Yeah, Cameron Bolin, one of the newcomers here for Season 3. He's done a very good job to be consistent. Currently in the 9th position, right behind Dominic Corelli there. And I'm curious to see how long we're going to be. Oh, Cameron almost got into the back there of Corelli. But 150 laps tonight with that 1 set of tires in the pit road. You think we're going to split it halfway here tonight, or are these guys going to try and extend it? That's going to be the question we're going to have to wait for the answer for.
Well, also, we got to wait to see how these cautions play out. I mean, as we saw, we didn't make it about 200 feet before we had our first caution. So, again, at tale of 2 races, though, as we see pretty much every time we do one of these races, we got the one leader just starting to check out from the field, and then the rest of everyone is saving tires. So if we remember, the one race that sticks out in my mind for tires was, I think, in season 1 at Atlanta, where Cody Kelly, I believe it was, he got out to about an 18-second lead.
It was Jimmy Norman.
It was Jimmy Norman. That's right. So Jimmy got out to a huge lead, and they eventually ran him down because everyone else just saved their tires so much better. So it's going to be curious to see if it's going to be another case of this here, as last time through the line, Oliver Cordell with a 17.946 and Landon runs an 18.006. So not too far off at times, but you can tell who's saving and who isn't.
Ironic that Oliver Cordell is in that number 17 machine, continuing the dominance here in Windshield Deep. Is that number 17 machine? Cody Kelly drove it last year. This year, it's the number 17 of Oliver Cordell. But right now, he is still the fastest driver in that top 5. He's opened up now to a 1.9 second lead. Behind him, single file all through the top 10. Your first battle for position is all the way back to 13th. Matt Light getting underneath the number 4 of Eric Wilson. That'll be for the number 12 position, as Matt Light does complete the pass, and they continue to go single file. But these guys are doing a great job right now, kind of giving everyone a little bit of room. I think Jack Bailey put everyone in check that it's going to be a long night, at least going from day to night here at Five Flags if we continue that trend of causing a lot of cautions.
Well, that and RJ Williams on the official tower probably gave the field a little stern talking to after that crash in turn 1. But you're still looking at the first battle on the racetrack. Josh Caudle in the 13 trying to move up the spot underneath Eric Wilson. So he's sporting a new scheme, I believe, this week. Don't think he saw or he had that scheme on that car last week as he gets a little loose off of turn 4. But here come the rest of the pack. Davey Davis and company right there to catch up to these guys. And Kevin Light and Dylan Wilson are there as well. So this is the most exciting battle on the track as Caudle finally makes the pass. And here comes Davey Davis underneath Eric Wilson for 13th.
Yeah, Davey has been very good on the short run. He's honestly really good at these 87 cars. He suits his driving style really nicely, and he seems to figure out the strategy as well. So we'll have to see what he does with the one set of tires in the pits. If he pits earlier, if he pits later. He's normally pit a little bit earlier to get the track position as he unfortunately hits the outside wall. But behind them, Eric Wilson is hemorrhaging positions like no other. He has now gone from 10th back to 16th. Another guy now, Kevin Light, had Matt Light pass him a few laps ago. Now Kevin gets underneath him, and he pushes up. They make a little bit of contact, but they keep going. But right now, Eric Wilson is your big loser as he goes now back to 19th position in the number 4 machine.
So it looks like he's eventually going to cycle back to about 22nd after, or 21st rather, after he gets passed by Matthew Kingsbury. Kingsbury was another one of those guys that went to the back along with the 9 of Grayson Ward. And so those two guys started from the back. They're trying to make their way up. And one guy that I'm surprised hasn't really made his way up is the 18 of Casey Pierce. He started way back in the field as well. Not sure what happened to him, but he is way off the pace right now. I believe he's the interval between him and the car ahead is 2 seconds. And he behind the leader, he's about 17 seconds behind the leader. So almost a full lap down is Casey Pierce. And that's our point leader. So wonder what happened to him. Still plenty of time, but Oliver Cordell is closing in fast. An 18.398 last time by for Cordell. And Landon runs a 18.648. So that's going to be, got to keep that in mind for Casey. Not sure if this is the start he wanted, but got to make sure he recovers when that inevitable caution comes out.
Well, the one thing that he does have right now is the pace. He is running very similar times right now to Cordell. And despite not having more contacts, we might have something here eventually. Nope. Keep on going. But Casey Pierce did start in the back, and if this race goes green, I know they have these 22-gallon fuel cells. I don't know what the fuel situation is if they go green the whole way, but he is not where he needs to be in terms of the points. Like you mentioned, he is the point leader going into this race, but as of right now, he is very far behind as they're having a bunch of action in front of him. We're looking at Drew Cox, but there's a snarling battle right now for 24th of all places, as Brett Punkari, Jack Bailey, and Ethan Tingler all got into it right around Casey. Casey trying to get underneath them. But that's going to be something we're going to have to look for if we get more cautions, if Casey can get that track position. But as we go back up front, right now it is still Oliver Cordell, your leader, with Andy Trupiano, Landon Huffman, Chris Davis, good call out to the other Doobie brother, in 4th, Spencer Dickinson, rounding out your top 5.
And right there behind them, Drew Cox in that Wonder Bread machine. As we have a caution on the racetrack. I'm not sure what it is.
No.
I think it's off of turn number 4, and it is the 54 of Lance Ripka who is around. I believe he had an incident last week at Bristol as well. And Brandon Leclerc is claiming this one in the 5. Let's see if we can get a replay. And we'll see the 5 car here just absolutely just come up and destroy, not really destroy, but take out the 54 on the fly producing there, Rich. That was very good. But through the corner, we'll see this happen. So it looks like the 5 of Brandon Leclerc scored as the 21 in the server, but Watch the yellow and white car right there, dives to the inside, just washes up. You think they came together there, Kevin? I might be a
Yeah,
fan of that.
it might be one of those situations where Lance pulled down to kind of get the exit, because like I mentioned, this track is a little bit bizarre. It has like that double apex feel where you enter low, you kind of let it trail off in the middle of the corner, run up about a lane off the bottom, and then you bring it down again near the inside pit wall. And I think that's what Lance was trying to do, and him and Leclerc just kind of get into it. Leclerc did take the claim, so he will not go a lap down because of that contact, even though it might not have been his fault. I'm curious to see what would have been the call, but we're not going to get that because Brendan Leclerc did claim it. So he'll be in the longest line, and he'll have to start all the way back now in 26th position behind the rest of the field.
So we'll get a quick field rundown here. Oliver Cordell is still your leader. Landon Huffman second. Andy Trupiano third. Chris Davis will be shown in fourth. Spencer Dickinson fifth. Drew Cox sixth. Cameron Bolin is seventh. Dominic Corelli eighth. Seth Harrelson ninth. And Brian Smith will round out the top 10 in that 68. And going back a little further through the 11th through 20th, Matt Light is 11th. Jacob Hayes is in 12th. Josh Caudle 13th. Dylan Wilson 14th, Ricky Harden 15th, Kevin Light 16th, Grayson Ward 17th, Davey Davis 18th, Daryl McKee 19th, and Eric Wilson will round out the top 20. And again, some other notables that are back here. Matthew Kingsbury in 21st. Again, finished third last week, had a good run, but if you're new to Windshield Deep, if you finish in the top 3 in the race before, you start at the back in the next week's race. So that is where Matthew Kingsbury is, along with point leader Casey Pierce in the 18 back here. So those two guys have their work cut out for them. And the other guy that started at the back this week is Grayson Ward in the 9. He went back to the tail end of the field early, so going to be interesting to see how he makes his way up to the field, as it looks like we're doubling up for 1 lap to green here.
Yeah, I'm curious if, looking at the results, I would have to look at it. I wonder if they just defaulted to 4th place now that Blake isn't here this week. I'm curious if that was where Grayson was. But regardless, started second, had to go to the back, and now he's up to 17th. He's definitely our hard charger at this point of the 3 drivers who had to start from the back. Pace truck is off. We're going to be going green again. And Oliver holds up the field pretty long. I don't know if that was late on the restart zone, but he is going to get a good restart. Goes up to the high line, goes back into the bottom, and it's going to single file out for the first 4 spots. Chris Davis going to clear the number 6 machine of Spencer Dickinson. And right now he's going to have to battle Drew Cox for 5th.
Drew Cox making that high line work through turns 3 and 4, still side by side with Spencer Dickinson. And the field is getting a little more racy as we see more side-by-side action here. It looks like these two guys are going to fall in line. And as we look a little further back, we see Jacob Hayes in the 1 car back here trying to make the top side work. He's side by side with Josh Caudle. That's battle for 12th. And right behind them, Ricky Harden and Dylan Wilson, as Wilson may be looking to poke it 3 wide there off the corner, thinks better of it. But no shortage of action back here midway through the field, as these guys are all fighting for about the 15th spot on back.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Dylan Wilson does this week. Had a fantastic run going for him at Bristol, and the cautions in the strategy just did not play out for him. I believe he finished 15th after being in the top 5 for a majority of that race. So he's looking to rebound from that effort. Started 27th tonight. He is now all the way up to the 16th position, battling Daryl McKee for 15th. Going to try and settle in here in line. Does not do it. Kevin Light will spot that position. Will get underneath him as well. And right now, Dylan Wilson has fallen to the back, almost similar to what happened to his father. Eric Wilson just got stuck on that outside line. Maybe Dylan can get low here. Not quite, but right now those Wilson boys are not doing well on that high line.
It looks like Wilson is going to finally file in front of Matt Light. And just ahead of him, there's Spencer Dickinson in the 9, and it looks like they're going to send Jacob Hayes to the back. So it seems like whoever gets shuffled out of line to that top side is going to have to wait a long time to work their way back into line. But it looks like Kevin Light is going to be nice and let Jacob Hayes back in there. So we might owe him one later as Light washes up, and that's going to open the door for Matt Kingsbury. Again, our 3rd place finisher last week, and maybe Davey Davis right behind him could follow him through.
Yeah, this track is, like I said, a very interesting configuration. If you ever watch the Snowball Derby, probably one of the biggest super late model events of the year, every year, the bottom is where you want to be. Even if, the high line comes in, it's basically for defense. Even when we had, the really, really good dynamic track model, the low line was the place to be. So if you get stuck on that high line, you got to get to the bottom, and you got to get to the bottom quickly. As right now, even now, Josh Cottle's feeling the effects of that. Dylan Wilson gets underneath him. But behind them, funny enough, Casey Pierce is trying to look high on Eric Wilson. He is coming quickly on that high line. And we have another caution right in front of everybody. That was the, I can't see the number.
Seth
Harrelson again.
What happened to Seth?
Another stroke of bad luck as Seth Harrelson once again involved in an accident. We'll see if it's something he did himself. And looking at the replay before Rich gets it pulled up, it looks like that is not the case.
It looks like the 23 of Matt Light here, that red and black car, just dives into the corner too hard and tries to fit the car underneath Seth Harrelson and turns him around. Fortunately for Seth, it looks like he doesn't have any damage, but I'm getting really sick and tired of seeing Seth getting wrecked every week. I don't think there's been a single race in Windshield Deep where Seth hasn't gotten turned in some way, shape, or form. But man, that's rough. So that's going to bring out caution number 3, I believe, early on in this race. We're working lap number 43, actually 45 now, if I can read correctly. But yeah, so we got a caution period here. We'll go and regroup here for a second so I can get over Seth getting wrecked again. I'm very not happy about that. But we'll go ahead and take a quick little commercial break here, re-rack the field here. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back for the rest of the ONEwraps 150 here at Five Flags. And welcome back to Five Flags here. So we're still working caution number 3, and currently still leading is Oliver Cordell. He's led from the jump here so far, but Kevin, we've been just talking at length about what he's doing to his tires. Maybe he's figured something out that we don't know about, but so far he's been the man to beat early on.
Yeah, I wonder how good clean air really helps with the cooling of the tires. I know iRacing is sophisticated, but I don't know if it's that sophisticated. But he has set the pace for sure tonight, and with these cautions coming out the way they have, if he gets another caution with about 30 laps to go, that'll definitely set up the plan to pit at halfway for everybody most likely. But right now, Oliver is definitely the class of the field. Not sure everyone's shown their hands yet, especially that number 75 machine. The number 7 of Trupiano is always quick as well. Gonna have to wait and see if they can keep up with him late. And I'm really curious as well if Landon tries to undercut. He's played the undercut so many times in these races, and he was talking to us. He really wishes we had an extra set in the pits because it allows for more strategy. He seems to be really good at it. So going to be coming to just a little bit over 100 laps to go for these guys. As we get closer to halfway, we're going to see if these pit stops are becoming sooner than later.
Landon definitely known for his strategy calls. It's won him a couple of races here in WDRL, so he might be looking to do the same thing tonight. Pace truck ducks off. We're getting ready to go back racing to lap 49. Another great restart for Cordell, and they get just jumbled up back there. Looked like the 12 of Chris Davis maybe missed a shift or something, but he's going to lose a few spots. Drew Cox is going to get around him. Dominic Corelli tried to get around him, but he's not going to be able to make it work, as here's the 67 of Cameron Bolin, and Davis washes up the track, and Bolin might get 2 cars here as they head into turn number 1, so that red 67 might be looking into the 6th spot here.
Yeah, the number 67 of Cameron Bolin on the move. Chris Davis had to make evasive maneuver, almost got to the back of that number 63 machine of Drew Cox, but it looks like Chris Davis is going to recover really nicely and settle back in that sixth place position. Going to single file out for the first 10 positions. Behind them, the first battle will be for that now 13th and now 12th position. 12th position going to be Brian Smith. Looking underneath him is the number 77, Dylan Wilson. So he's trying to get into the top dozen. Last time we talked about him, he was all the way back in 17th, Sean. So he's recovered really quickly to get in closer to that front field, trying to get for a top 10.
He didn't get stuck on the bottom for a while as we have a battle up a little bit further towards the front. Cameron Bolin and Chris Davis still working on each other. This is for the 6th position, and it looks like Davis is going to start going to the back as Ricky Harden washes up a little too close. He gets that hard-in-the-wall Chevrolet to the bottom and off the corner. So we've mentioned at length so far, if you get kicked out to the top here, you're going to have to work your way back in. You're going to lose at least 2, 3, maybe 4 spots, and that's what Chris Davis is experiencing right now as he continues to free fall.
Chris Davis going to be the next victim of that high line. Tries to get a good run off of turn 4, and he might, if he can do it, he might be able to get underneath or on, around and under back to the bottom in front of Dominic Pirelli. Behind them, though, Grayson Ward has now made his way into the top 10, all the way started all the way back at the end of the longest line in the 28th position. So Grayson Ward might be someone we're going to have to look at the end of the race. He did qualify officially in second tonight before being put to the back of the field. Gets underneath Chris Davis, real tight there as they get out of turn 2, that low exit. And Grayson Ward going to take over the 9th position in that number 9 machine, Sean.
So it looks like Ward is having no trouble making his way up through the field, but can't say the same about Chris Davis right now. Grayson Ward going forward, Davis going backwards, as right now he's got the 56 and Daryl McKee right underneath him. He's going to give that spot up, and Dylan Wilson now looking to go underneath. So Chris Davis was outside the top 5, has fallen all the way back to 11th, and Kevin, that line behind him isn't getting any shorter.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see. Obviously, he's on that high line, so he's not in a good position as it is, but I'm curious to see what his tires look like. He might have worn them out a little bit too soon, too quickly, tried to be up front. He started in 9th, and he got all the way up to 4th, and he might have used just a little bit too much tire early on here in this 150-lap event, and he's paying the price right now being on that top line. He has now officially fallen out of the top 12 in the 13th now, letting Kingsbury. He was also making his way through the field real nicely in the top 12 now for the number 51 machine of Kingsbury. Back up front, we might have a potential battle for 3rd as Spencer Dickinson, of all people, he's been super consistent. He's up to 4th, and he's hounding that number 75 machine of Landon Huffman.
He is, and Landon dropped back from 2nd, so Andy Trupiano able to get around him. Still all chasing Oliver Cordell in the 17. Look at the 2 different lines there you see going into turn 1. Landon taking a much lower entry. That's going to cost him on exit. He might save his tires a little bit better doing that, as we see Trupiano taking a wider entry as Huffman trying to work the middle through 3 and 4, but he's got his rear windshield full of Spencer Dickinson in the 6th. And Dickinson has been up in the top 10 all race, started 7th and worked his way up to 4th, and looks like it's only a matter of time before he finds his way into 3rd.
Yeah, right now between Landon Huffman and Dickinson, only 2 1,000ths of a second separated their lap times, and Dickinson is playing offense while Landon having to play defense. I believe that's also a reason why he's running that little bit lower entry, especially into turn 1, maybe saving his tires a little bit, trying to cool him down, but he's also defending that potential overtake behind him. That is Spencer Dickinson. He already lost, like you said earlier, lost that 2nd position, and right now he does not want to lose ground to the number 17 machine of Oliver Cordell, especially if we get another caution. You want to have really good track position as these laps tick to the end of the race. So Landon Huffman already thinking about the future, most likely trying to hold that 3rd position.
Another guy I want to give a call to right here. How about the 15 of Ricky Harden? I mentioned him briefly. He's working his way up to the field. Started 18th. He's up to 6th. And he's looking underneath Drew Cox right now for 5th as they head into turn number 1. So what a drive by Ricky in that 15 car. So you love to see that. He's a fan favorite here and doing a great job on the racetrack as he does overtake Drew Cox and put him in the 15th position there. So not seeing anything different there. You see Landon Huffman still has a rear windshield full of Spencer Dickinson, but they're still keeping even with Oliver Cordell. As a matter of fact, Andy Trupiano was about the 10th faster than Cordell the last lap. So these tires now in Cordell maybe starting to go away as he might have been pushing a little too hard, and Trupiano closing ever so slightly still, runs an 18.612 compared to Cordell's 18.660.
Yeah, and even behind them, Spencer Dickinson's the fastest of these 4 guys. He was the only one in the 5s with an 18.553. So this front 4 is starting to get a little bit closer, and you got to think, Sean, that maybe Oliver did use his tires a little bit too much on those early runs to get away from the field. Andy Trupiano is notorious for playing the save strategy, and despite that, he is all the way up to 2nd, and he is catching the number 17 machine, and he's catching them quickly as they go through 3 and 4.
He definitely is, and there you see we got another one of this free falls happening. There you see the 63 of Drew Cox got out of line slightly, and he loses a few positions. Fortunately, he's able to make it right in front of Cameron Bolin, but as I say that, Bolin dives it to the bottom in that red number 67, and he's going to potentially pass Drew Cox. He gets a good run off the corner, but these straightaways not long enough to make any type of run work from the top lane, so it might be only a matter of time before Bolin will complete the overtake, and there he does. And here comes Dylan Wilson, as you were talking about, Kevin. He's just outside the top 10 right now as he passes Cox, and Dylan Wilson's still making his way up through the field.
Yeah, he's actually rebounded really nicely. Like I said, we were talking about him. Oh, Kingsbury got a little bit loose, slid the tires, nearly got into the number 63 machine. He might have actually gotten to the side of him, but we keep on going, keep on green. And Ricky Hardnow on that high line, he's lost a handful of spots. I think we have kept the broadcast curse alive. He's lost a handful of positions since we talked to him, but he's going to still in line right behind Daryl McKee. Yeah, a couple really good newcomers through this field, at least starting from the back. Daryl McKee, another example of that, started 28th officially, probably rolled off around 24th and 25th after the end of longest line penalties to the top three. But he has done very well in getting through this field and getting through it quickly. And in front of them, Grayson Ward, your hardest charger of the race right now in 6th.
Absolutely. Another guy that's come through the field, well, midway through the pack as well, is that 61 of Dominic Corelli right in front of the 9 of Grayson Ward. He started 15th. He's worked his way into the top 5, but looks like it's only a matter of time before that 9 of Grayson Ward gets around him. There's a lap car of Anthony Woody in the 100 this week, goes from 31 to 100, but he looks like I don't know if he's going to be in the way or what. We're going to have to see how this plays out. He stays low and out of the way there, so good job by him. But up front, guys, as I steal this from one of our good friends, Travis Brown, in the Twitch streaming community, but there's a 4-horse pony show at the dog races up front. Oliver Cordell has a rear windshield full of Andy Trupiano, who's got Landon Huffman right behind him and Spencer Dickinson right behind him. So this race is almost over. We are just about to hit halfway. And right now, the battle for the lead, it's not calming down at all, as any one of these 4 guys can be leading this thing at once. They seem to be very similar on speed.
About 400 separate the top 4 right now on lap times. Landon Huffman gets a little bit high entering turn 3. Going to keep that position, though, away from Spencer Dickinson. But Spencer Dickinson is all over the back of the number 75 ONEwraps machine. Gets a really good run out of turn 2, and he might try to look low here. Thinks better of it for now, but right now these top 4 are in a completely different zip code than the rest of the field. You go all the way back from Spencer Dickinson, who is 7/10 behind Oliver Cordell, number 5 in the field. Oh, we have a caution.
Oh, we got a caution. It's Matt Light in the 23 on the backstretch, and it looks like, yep, Matt Light is around in the back. Let's get a replay here, see what happened. It looks like he was battling with Chris Davis and Brian Smith off of turn number 2, and he tried to kind of squeeze it down to the bottom of Davis, and Davis will have nowhere to go and kind of sideswipe them and turn them both around. Watch the black and red car. Well, they're all 3 black and red, so that narrows it down. But there you see a little bit of maybe net code there between Davis and Light, and that's going to send them both around. Not sure if I see any damage in either one of those cars, so they might be good to go from here on out. But Kevin, this will kind of throw a monkey wrench in everything. Is do you pit? And the answer is yes for Oliver Cordell and a lot of others.
Yeah, a couple people did stay out. Andy Trupiano stayed out. It looks like the 56 and McKee and Corelli stayed out. So both the Kingdom teammates have decided to stay out here, and that's going to be a risk. But everyone else in the top half of the field is going to pit. Another couple notables that have stayed out. Casey Pierce has decided to take the track position and stay out. Davey Davis has stayed out, as well as Brian Smith, Jacob Hayes, Josh Cottle. So this is going to definitely set up for a completely different front of the field for this next restart. One thing that this creates, obviously, is going to be a lot of chaos, because these guys are going to have, I would say, about 60 laps or so, green flag laps on these tires, and we saw how much the pace dropped. They were running 18.6s. Qualifying pace was in the 16.9s. So for at least the next 2 or 3 laps, it'll probably be even. But once the tires heat up, these new tires are going to absolutely eat up the front of the field.
Well, we've seen in races past, those new tires will try to make their way up to the field, but they might get caught up in someone else's wreck. So it's not as easy as it looks having these new tires on the car and making their way up to the field. You got to deal with all the slower cars ahead of you, and that is tricky to do when you're so much faster than everybody. But nonetheless, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. We're coming to lap 81, working lap 80 right now of the scheduled 150 lap distance here at Five Flags Speedway. So field should be doubling up next time by, I should say. So I think we got a little bit of time. We'll go ahead and take a quick little break here, re-rack the field up, and we'll be right back here for the restart. Don't go away. We'll be right back. back here at Five Flags Field is doubled up through turns 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and get a quick brief rundown of the top 10 coming to the restart. Andy Trupiano leads, Daryl McKee second, Dominic Corelli third, Cameron Boland fourth, Casey Pierce is in fifth, Davey Davis sixth, Brian Smith seventh, Jacob Hayes eighth, Josh Caudle ninth, and Jack Bailey will round out the top 10 as the pace truck is off, and I know what that laugh means. Good restart here by Andy Trupiano. We've seen that low line. Whoever's leading it gets a great restart as Matt Light is just sitting there at the exit of pit row. That's interesting. But here they come off turn 2. Cameron Boland clear enough himself, but here comes Casey Pierce. How about Casey? Started way back, I believe, actually dead last in the field. He's right there battling for 4th position. And he gets a little bit of contact between he and Cameron Boland. What a save by both of those guys. Casey not happy on the radio after that, but moved the 18 into 4th, and Davey Davis looking to follow him through.
We're going to want to look at around 13th on back. Oliver Cordell just took 3 wide. These guys are all over the place. 3 wide, 2 or 3 rows deep behind them. All these new tires trying to get around these old tires. Oliver Cordell has done it a little bit better than Landon. But Landon Huffman right behind him. Now all the way up to 15th, 13th now is that number 17 machine. Huffman's going to be in 14th. Jack Bailey on the top. Hopefully he doesn't wreck anybody. If he does, that'll be the end of the night for him. But this is what we were talking about, chaos on these restarts because of these new tires. And right now, Oliver Cordell and Landon Huffman trying to gain as many positions as possible before the next caution.
And they maybe wanted to separate themselves from the Hornets' nest in the middle of the field. Right now, it looks like Cordell and Huffman may have gotten away as there's some contact happening back there. They're all over the place back here. 3 wide going into 1 with Jack Bailey in the 2 and Eric Wilson and Drew Cox. They make it through somehow, but Jack Bailey still plummeting through the field. And honestly, that didn't really take long at all for Bailey. So they were able to keep it going straight. But still, we're trying to focus on the new tires back here. So look at Oliver Cordell in the 17, Landon Huffman in the 75 right here. Those are the guys to watch. Cordell really like a hot knife through butter right now, knifing his way through the field. Just overtook Cameron Boland for 8th, and he's got his sights set on Josh Caudle and Jacob Hayes eventually for 6th.
And it looks like Cordell is doing a really good job of navigating this traffic. He's doing a little bit better job than his counterpart in the number 75 machine of Landon Huffman. Huffman now 2 positions behind Cordell, and as this race goes on, if this run goes to the green, that might be the difference of who wins this race, is navigating this really slow traffic. At the front, we're still only, they're pretty single file, so we're going to keep an eye on this very busy back half of the top 15. Looking a little bit further back, Ricky Harden and company, got Seth Harrelson, Brian Smith, Dylan Wilson also on those newer tires trying to navigate these slower cars. This could get really ugly, and Seth Harrelson gets sideways, hits the wall, keeps it off. That's the number 07 machine. Hits the wall a little bit off of 4, nearly caused our 6th caution of the night, I believe. And he's going to keep it straight. And then we have another caution. I'm hearing the number 54 of Lance Ripka got into the side of Brandon Leclerc, and I believe...
That's the 2nd incident for Leclerc, I believe.
I think so. Lance is going to take the claim, and I think that might have been the right call because he comes down right in front of Leclerc. We'll get a replay. Yeah, and Lance Ripka pretty much just drove down as if the number 21 there, showing the 5 in the server, but looks like the 54 the cause of that. They actually got into it a little bit earlier, so I was curious if that might have been just potential payback, but it looks like just a simple mistake in the number 54 machine.
That's another unfortunate deal there. So that'll bring out, I believe you're right. We are around 6. I'm trying to get my ticker back up, but I love how my scoring thing doesn't work. We do have pit stops coming though. Oliver Cordell's going to resume the lead, and it looks like everyone that didn't pit under that last caution is on pit road now.
This will definitely pay dividends to the people like Casey Pierce because he was around the mid-20s before this round of long green flag runs, and he'll have a little bit better track position because of this and a little bit better tires. But someone that is going to be way in the back now is that number 7 machine of Andy Trupiano. And looking at the stint length from that last run, only 15 lap newer tires here for the number 7 machine. So he looks like we're waiting for the scoring to cycle out. But it looks like he's going to be all the way back in 16th position. So he's going to have to pass 15 cars to get back up to that number 17 machine and potentially win this race.
So I finally got my information back up, and this is currently caution number 5, according to It's ATVO. So we are working caution 5 here at 5 flags. And it's pretty much been as we expected. There's been some clean racing. There's been some beating and banging. But right now, it's been actually a pretty exciting race so far. Strategy definitely going to come into play here at the last part of the race. And we're quickly coming up on 50 laps to go. And that can go by very, very quickly.
Yeah, this is I almost want to see a couple cautions here just so we can get this re-racked every once in a while. It seems to make these races really entertaining, especially with the different tire strategy. You got a couple of these guys who have made their way through the field on these newer tires. Obviously, Andy's been up front, but Daryl McKee has made his way through the field once. He'll have to do it again. Casey Pierce has set himself very nicely. Qualified third, had to go to the back of the field. He will start 18th on this next run. So that'll be the people we want to look at. But up front, you're going to still have your typical front runners that we've had all night long. Oliver Cordell, Huffman, and Dickinson have all been on it tonight in the top of the field, and they've been the pace. And then behind them, Kingsbury's also been very fast.
Well, those guys that took tires the first round of pit stops have made it up to the front safely, but it's up to the guys in the back that took tires to get up to the field now as pace truck is off, and Oliver Cordell, another great restart, jumps Landon Huffman. Landon's able to get to the bottom, side by side for third between Spencer Dickinson and Matt Kingsbury. Here comes Drew Cox, though. Thought about making it 3 wide off of 2 there. He's right to the back bumper of Spencer Dickinson through 3 and 4. Gives a little bump. But how about Ricky Harden is there again in that 15 car? We've been talking about him all throughout the race, and he's right outside the top 5, and he's looking for the top 5 as he's side by side with Kingsbury off of 2.
Yeah, he was right. Oh, another caution. As we, who is that? Seth Harrelson again.
Oh my God.
I was going to mention this on the first yellow. It seems like, he is one of the cleaner drivers in this series. And, typically in the Windshield Deep League, if you're clean, you're not really getting a lot of TV time because, most of the time we're looking at the wrecks and looking at a lot of the action. He never really just minds his own business. But once again, Seth Harrelson involved in another incident. I'm not sure who the cause of this will end up being. It looks like Seth he went a little high, and I think he just wasn't really aware of Anthony Woody. He has been really slow all night in that number 100 machine, so I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, he had the whole bottom to himself, and maybe he thought the 12 of Chris Davis was going to send it in on him, but nonetheless, I think that is you got to put that one on Seth. I mean, we're big fans of Seth Harrelson up here, but we got to keep it unbiased as well, and I think everyone agrees that's probably on Seth.
He did claim it, so I think even he understands that was on him. Like I said, I just think he just played it a little bit too high entering turn 1, and probably didn't think the 100 machine was going to be that low entering turn 1. So unfortunately, Seth will have to go to the end along this line. Looks like he's going to be back there anyway, but that's going to work. I believe you said our 6th caution, and that's not going to bode well for these guys on newer tires. It looks like a couple of them have made their way to the front a little bit. Andy Trupiano now up from 16th to 13th, but if these cautions keep going, we're at 50 laps to go, Sean. Do you think if this goes green, do they have enough time?
I really don't know, because we mentioned at length just how short this track is. It's a half mile in length, and that's a considerable amount of length to make up spots. I mean, it's possible, but you got guys in the back. Andy Trupiano, I believe, is going to be the first car on new tires back there, and he's going to be restarting in 13th. He has the benefit of being on the low side, but he's caught right behind guys that have older tires. Dominic Corelli right ahead of him, Eric Wilson, Jacob Bransky, Jack Bailey is still up there in the top 10. So going to be interesting to see what these guys will do at the end of this race. Working lap number 102 right now. We'll go over the running order really quick for you. So Oliver Cordell, still your leader, been the most dominant car all race. Landon Huffman has been in the top 3 all race as well. Spencer Dickinson with a great run in 3rd. Drew Cox, another solid run in 4th. Matt Kingsbury is 5th. Ricky Harden, a good run in 6th. Dylan Wilson, 7th. Grayson Ward is in 8th. Jack Bailey is in 9th. And Jacob Bransky, haven't mentioned him all race except for that one, the very first crash of the race. He's recovered nicely and finds himself in the top 10 as we're coming down to 1 lap to go to green, and they double up through 1 and 2.
Yeah, Jacob Bransky, what a run. Started dead sideways. Lap 1, turn 1, he has made his way due to strategy being in 10th. But pace truck going to be coming off here. Going to be 47 laps to go, and that question that I asked Sean will eventually be answered. Going to be 47 to go, and we're going to have to see if Trupiano and company can make their way through the field. Big checkup in the back, and that's going to spread out the field. Great restart for the number 17 machine of Cordell. First battle for position going to be Spencer Dickinson and Drew Cox. Spencer Dickinson almost got underneath Landon Huffman, but he's going to keep the second position. Right now, the battle's going to be for third.
Spencer Dickinson has had a very strong car tonight. He's played the strategy just right. So all these guys are battling up here, but a little bit further back, we have an absolute storm back here from Jack Bailey on back in the 2. And he's got a mirror full of Jacob Bransky right now. This is all the battle for 10th as they head through turns 3 and 4. The 61 of Dominic Corelli is also there. Maybe a little bit of contact. The 03 gets a little bit high, and that's going to let the guys on the top go by potentially. Here comes Corelli to the outside of the 2, and he's looking to bring the 67 of Cam Bolin with him as well.
Dominic Corelli right now is the number 1 driver on those new tires. Jack Bailey is sideways, and that's going to be right in front of Tripiano. He gets sideways. No one's going to hit him yet. Oh, Pancari barely hits him. But that's going to bring out a caution, and that's going to be Jack Bailey's second incident of the evening. You got to think, Sean, that'll be done and over for the number 2 machine of Jack Bailey. I don't think it's going to come to a surprise to many in the server that is his second. I'm curious to see if Landon Huffman's going to erupt in laughter again. But a tough break for Jack Bailey caused the incident on lap 1, turn 1, and he wrecks himself in turn 3.
Well, let's bring a guy up here that would have the answer to that question. RJ, we're reviewing the 2. What are you guys thinking there in the tower about any plan of action to take on it?
Well, per operating procedures, his next penalty would be a lap down. So we're going to bring him down for a lap and hold him and put him a lap down. Hopefully he'll understand that he's now running a different race, being a lap down, and drive a little bit more safely. It looks like he just was driving it hard there because he was running up front and that was fun. So that's mainly for you.
Yep, there you go. He's certainly provided plenty of excitement the last 2 weeks here. But I want to talk to you for a second, RJ. We didn't get a chance to talk to you a lot this race. It's been really quick cautions. How y'all feeling up there in the control tower? You liking what you're seeing so far?
I am, because a lot of these guys are owning up to their mistakes here, so they're making it easier on me in the booth, which I really appreciate them doing. Some of these guys, even if it isn't their fault, they're going ahead and owning up to it, which I can respect. But some of them got to learn to play the claim caution game as well. So, all in all, I think it's been a pretty good race in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. One more question I want to ask you. We've at length talked about Seth Harrelson and just how he has the absolute worst luck in this league by far. So when do you think we're going to go one race without seeing Seth involved in any kind of incident? Because it's getting annoying right now.
That's a hell of a question. Now, after 3 seasons, you're exactly right. He probably has the worst luck. You know what? I'm going to put good mojo on him and say next week is what I'm going to say.
Where are we at next week, by the way?
Hell if I know.
All right.
Well, let's look, Sean. Let's look at the schedule wherever the hell it is.
All right, let me take care of Jack here.
All right. Good luck, RJ. Thanks for the time. Always love talking to RJ, no matter how much time we take from him. Do you have the schedule pulled up there, Kevin?
Sean, I do. We're actually going to probably my favorite track on the service. I don't know how it's going to race in the 87s.
Iowa?
We are going to Iowa, 100 laps unofficially. We'll see if they maybe add a little bit of laps to that, and that'll be interesting. Progressive banking with these older cars. I think it'll put on a really good show. But we're double file, getting ready to go green.
That's going to be interesting. I like to watch. I don't like iRacing, Iowa particularly in iRacing, but it's fun to watch. It's going to be cool to see these guys try to navigate through there. But Pace Truck is off. Another great restart for Oliver Cordell. He gets away, and it's side by side for second. How about Drew Cox trying to make his way into second, trying to pass Landon Huffman? Landon's going to have the momentum on the top lane, so he might get the whole shot down the back, still side by side, and the pack starts to accordion behind as they're side by side all throughout as Huffman gets loose. They're 3 wide on the front stretch.
Contact between Drew Cox and the number 75 machine, and Landon Huffman's around again. Contact from Spencer Dickinson in the field, plows in. Tripiano's involved. Looks like the number 03 of Bransky was in it. But Spencer Dickinson getting into the side of Landon Huffman, and that's going to change the structure of the front half of the field, as Landon Huffman was 3 wide with Spencer Dickinson. And I believe, I have to look at the replay, someone else was in there, obviously. It was the number 51 of Matt Kingsbury. I don't think Landon knew they were 3 wide, because he pinched down pretty harshly on the number 6. Spencer had nowhere to go. We'll see how the officials will call this wreck, but I think that's going to go as a racing deal in my book, just because I don't think Landon knew he was 3 wide in that situation, and it gave a lot of people damage. Sean, the 61 had damage from that, the number 7 had damage from that, and Bransky had damage, so that's going to change the field considerably here.
It really is. I mean, that was one of those instances where I agree. I mean, I don't think Landon really knew exactly just how, 3 wide they were. I don't see any. Spencer claims the wreck in the race chat, but I don't think you could put that on him really. As Landon looks like he came down a little bit. Spencer didn't really change his line at all, really, going into the corner. So RJ just said he was enjoying the race, having a good time, but now he's got a call as they do overturn that. Landon is going to be deemed the cause of the wreck, and he is going to be sent to the back per the officials here. So that is an interesting development here, as they are still talking about it.
Yeah, so it looks like one of the admins, I'm not sure which one, but they gave Landon Huffman the OLL, but Landon's kind of talking about if someone claims the wreck, which Spencer Dickinson does, that completely overrides the official's call. You have to abide by the claim. So it looks like Spencer Dickinson will get the penalty, and Landon Huffman will not go end along this line here. He's already back there because of his incident. He has a considerable amount of damage. But that is going to that's why you got to really know if you cause it, you really got to think you did. That's the risk you take. That's tough. That's a tough break for Spencer. He could have easily kept his track position otherwise, but it looks like Spencer's going to go all the way to the back of the field on older tires behind a lot of new tires here. So that's a tough break for the number 6 machine.
And that is definitely not ideal for Spencer. So that's a tough break. Casey Pierce is getting a good chuckle out of that as he puts his thoughts in the race chat there. But again, it wouldn't be a Windshield Deep League race without some drama at the end, and this race has certainly provided that. So, but the fact remains the same up front. Oliver Cordell, it seems like he's led every lap except a couple in this race. He still shows the way. Drew Cox is being shown in second. Last time through the line, Matthew Kingsbury is back up to third. So again, he had to come from the very back of the field because he finished top 3 last week. He's right where he was this week. Grayson Ward comes in fourth. Dylan Wilson being shown in fifth. Another good run for him. Then Dominic Corelli, Ricky Harden, Andy Trupiano, Cameron Bolin, and Eric Wilson will round out the top 10. So here we go. Pace truck is off, coming to lap 119. Green flag is out. A great start for Cordell, but a really good start for Drew Cox as he's right on the back bumper of Cordell through 1 and 2, side by side for second on back, and they're getting pretty tight through off the corner down the back.
Drew Cox gets a lot of momentum on the exit of turn 2, going to get all over the back end of the number 17 machine. Cordell hits the apron, gets a little bit loose off of turn 4, but keeps it going. Going to get about a 2-car length lead behind them. Kingsbury going to get underneath the number 9 machine of Grayson Ward. That's going to single file out. Behind them is going to be Dylan Wilson. Big contact early in the back. Dominic Corelli and Andy Trupiano got into it next to Jacob Hayes. They gather it up. They're going to be single file now. And it looks like Landon had some black flags. They're going to clear that. But right now, the loser on this restart going to be Dominic Corelli. Was in sixth. We have a caution. And it looks like
I'm seeing. I think that I've seen the 100 was very slow, and it's just ahead of him. It's Spencer Dickinson and Ethan Tingler in the 19 got together in turns 3 and 4. We'll get a replay of it here. Now it looks like Spencer Dickinson causes another one, so he just kind of runs over Ethan Tingler in the middle of 3 and 4 right here. There you see the contact right there, and not too much damage for Spencer, but good amount of damage dealt to the 19 of Ethan Tingler. Haven't talked much about him all race, but this is not the instance you want to talk about him, especially after being involved in a wreck. And Kevin, that's going to bring out, by my count, caution number 9 here at 5 Flags tonight.
And caution number 2 for Spencer. If he does not claim this, I believe he's going to go 2 laps down. Even if he does claim it, with that claim of the last wreck, and this is going to be, he's going to claim it here. So he will go 1 lap down. So we were talking about Spencer not even 30 laps ago being a contender for the win. He is now 1 lap down in the number in 23rd overall. So that is a tough break for the number 6. Got stuck back in traffic, just trying to be a little bit aggressive and get through the field. Hits that number 19 machine of Tingler. Tingler got absolutely sent to the outside wall after hitting the inside. So tough break for the number 6 machine. He is going to be called to the pits to go a lap down. So really tough break for Spencer. But this is going to create another restart for these guys on older tires versus the newer tires.
So we should be working 2 to green right now on the track. So currently working lap 124. So, and we'll go over the running order again really quick. Oliver Cordell is your leader. Drew Cox in second. Matt Kingsbury third. Grayson Ward is in fourth. Dylan Wilson, a good run in fifth. Another good run. Ricky Harden currently sitting in sixth. Cameron Boland seventh. Jacob Hayes in eighth. Andy Trupiano ninth. And Dominic Corelli rounds out the top 10. And going a little further down, Casey Pierce just hasn't been able to get back up there. He's got a little bit of damage on the side and rear of that car, but nonetheless, he's on the outside looking in there. Eric Wilson sits in 12th. Daryl McKee 13th. Davey Davis hanging in there in 14th. Josh Caudle 15th. Kevin Light 16th. Jacob Bransky in 17th. Seth Harrelson in 18th. Brian Smith 19th. And Brandon LeClaire will round out the top 20. And Landon Huffman right behind him in 21st. So Landon definitely has his work cut out for him, as we're going to be coming to the green with about 24 laps to go.
It looks like a lot of these guys who have been up in the points. Casey Pierce not having a good day. Andy Trupiano, because he's on a different strategy right now, is in ninth. We'll see where he settles out. Landon Huffman obviously having a tough day. So these guys up front in the points not having the best of days overall. Cordell might come out the points leader if he can win this race. Right now, your leader in front of Drew Cox and company. But the first guy on new tires, we haven't talked a lot about him this year, but that number 67 of Cameron Boland in 7th overall is the first on new tires. So Pace are going to come off. We're going to keep an eye on him. Great restart for the number 63 of Drew Cox. Mirrors the restart of Cordell. Looks low temporarily. Going to think better of it behind them. Okay, they just hit the green flag or green cone there. Haven't seen that in a while. But they're going to be three battle for third right now, Sean.
Spencer Dickinson still working in the back, so he has gotten that penalty as we talked about. But Grayson Ward is another one of those guys that had to drive through the field. He took an EOL penalty at the start of the race. He's trying to clear Matt Kingsbury for third, and he does. Is Kingsbury try to throw it in? Still side by side. They're still checking up back here. Cameron Boland is in the middle of a sandwich on the bottom side. He's got Andy Trupiano all over him. Almost got hit, and there's Dylan Wilson and Ricky Harden trading paint as they're looking maybe 3 wide off of 2. They keep it 2, but this is where all the action is right now through 3 and 4.
Patience running out in that number 67 machine. He absolutely sent Dylan Wilson into Ricky Harden into turn 1, but they keep it going. Dylan Wilson going to get out of that hornet's nest for now. He's going to be in 5th. Hearing a little bit of contact in the back. We're going to keep on green. Cameron Boland going to keep it going on that inside line. Right now, the 2 victims on that high line is Ricky Harden and Jacob Hayes. They're going to be 3 wide. Ricky going to have to be careful here. He does hit the wall. Jacob Hayes gets spun. Casey Pierce sends him around. He hits the inside wall. Jacob Hayes doesn't get hit by anybody, but it looks like that might have been on the, I don't know who. That's tough, but Casey Pierce and Jacob Hayes get into it as they lap 130. Going to be 20 laps to go here, Sean.
It looks like, as we'll see on the replay here, it looks like Jacob Hayes got a little loose coming off of turn 4. The back end came out ever so slightly on that number 1 machine, and he was turned around by Casey Pierce. So I don't think you can really put that on anybody. It's more of a racing deal in my estimation. But as there you see on board with Casey, and just not much Casey can do there, really. He's just driving his line there, and Hayes gets loose, and around he goes. But that'll bring out our 10th caution of the evening tonight here. So usually the over-under in these races are about 11 cautions or so, but we're right there at that mark. So we'll go ahead. We haven't talked to anybody really in this. We've only talked to a couple guys. Guy we haven't talked to in a while. Ricky. Hey, it's been a while since we talked to you, man. You're having a good run. I don't want to jinx you, but tell us about your race so far. You're sitting pretty up there in the top 10.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, every race this season, we've been in the same position. We've been sitting between 6th and 10th at the end, and been in good position. Last week, we got our shit dumped and, ended up on the hook, blew an engine, and that sucked. But, we finished 6th first week, and I think we can do it again this week, or maybe even better, get a top 5. I keep restarting on the outside, which is not good.
Yeah, we've talked at length about that throughout the race. It seems if you get even remotely on the outside, you're going back 6, 7, 8 spots, it seems. But you've been right there in the thick of it. You've had to drive your way up through there, so you're looking pretty good right now. You think you got anything for the guys up front to maybe steal this thing?
No, there's no way I can compete with those guys in the front too. I think I can get to the top 5. I know I've got the pace that Dylan has, and we've been real even. He's just been fortunate with the lanes. So, you know, but definitely try to get up there, and you never know what might happen. They get together and wreck each other.
Well, yeah, you got to practice that avoidance. We're still looking for redemption from Dover a couple seasons ago. So I mean, we haven't forgotten about that, and we really want to make sure you get to victory lane at some point. So I guess just try to keep that thing clean and watch out for Casey. I mean, he's kind of been a man on a mission trying to get to the front here. But Ricky, we're pulling for you, man. We want to get that thing in victory lane sometime.
We're gonna do the best we can, man.
All right, man. We'll go get him, keep that thing clean, and hopefully get to talk to you in victory lane later on in this thing. Go get him.
Hell yeah, thanks, man.
I was like talking to Ricky, so it's with Jordan not around anymore.
Less nauseating. You know, I talked to him for 6 hours.
I talked to him for 15 hours the other day. All right, why do you got to put Ricky through that? No, but nonetheless, we are coming back to green. Oliver Cordell has been the standard in this race. He has dominated since the drop of the green. But you never know what's going to happen here in Windshield Deep. Crazy things happen, and by my estimation, we've still got a couple things yet to happen. Green flag is out. A good restart by both Cordell and Drew Cox. And Cox is going to fall into second here. Grayson Ward is going to be in third, but what a wide line by Cameron Bolin right in front of Ricky Harden, as he's going to fall into line there. Side by side for third. Dylan Wilson right back there, and it's pretty much double file from them on back.
New tires still have not paid their dividends, as Tripiano and Bolin right now behind these older tires. First battle going to be between Grayson Ward and Kingsbury. Kingsbury does not have the line. Grayson Ward does, and he's going to take over that third position. Going to set his sights now to Drew Cox and Oliver Cordell. Behind them, first battle for position now will be Tripiano and Cameron Bolin, sorry. Knew that was going to happen at some point this year. Andy Tripiano looking low underneath now Dylan Wilson, so that'll be a battle for fifth. Dylan Wilson does not want to let that position go because he will most likely fall way back in the field, as we've seen here, Sean.
Here comes Tripiano to the inside of Dylan Wilson. As you mentioned, he's not going to go quietly on the outside, giving it all it's worth there. And look, he was behind Andy Tripiano as well. Casey Pierce is right there. So these two guys need to get to the front and quick. We're coming to 10 laps to go. Time is quickly running out for these guys. And right now, back up front, Drew Cox is trying his best to keep up with Oliver Cordell. But Cordell has just been the constant in this race. Last time by is 17.758 for Cordell, a 17.778 for Drew Cox. So if Drew Cox doesn't find some speed and quickly, this race is Oliver Cordell's to lose.
And if these laps keep going, it might change the structure in the front half of this top 10, as once again the green cone gets destroyed. Andy Tripiano in fifth now. If these laps keep going, I know there's only 9 to go, but the longer this run goes, those new tires start to pay off as the tire heat gets into the tires on these cars. So I don't know if he's going to have enough time, but Andy Tripiano will most likely gain a few spots here, and he'll have a great finish. But it looks like this is, like you said, Sean, Oliver Cordell's race to lose.
Well, up front, Grayson Ward in that 9 car, he was the fastest car out of the top 3 in 17.859 for Grayson Ward. He might need one more caution to come out in order to have a shot at this thing, but he's right all over the back of Drew Cox down the back straightaway. And we're coming to about 6 laps to go this time by. Here comes Grayson Ward to the inside. Cox pinches him down, gets the run off the corner, and this is exactly what Oliver Cordell wants to see.
It might be, but at the same time, Grayson Ward, like you said, is the fastest driver on track. 6 laps to go, and Drew Cox nearly gets in the back of him, thinks better of it. I think he knows Grayson's faster. Going to let him battle it out with Oliver Cordell. But right now, Cameron Bolin is in the wall nearly. He washed out a ton. But it looks like he keeps going, but he's going to lose a considerable amount of track position. He falls all the way back now to 11th. That gives Ricky Harden back into the top 10. But we're going to have to keep an eye right now on that number 9 machine to see if he can rally and catch that number 17.
Well, it's looking like Grayson Ward might have used the tires up to get by Drew Cox, as Cox is all over the rear back bumper of that 9 car, and Oliver Cordell is just checking out into turns 3 and 4. By far the fastest car on the track. That last lap about 2/10 quicker than Grayson Ward. Coming down to 3 laps to go, and right now, unless a caution comes out, this is all Oliver Cordell as he makes his way down the back.
Cordell, Ward, Cox, Tripiano, and Pierce, your top 5. Next battle for position will be all the way back between Matt Light and Brandon Leclerc. Both these guys have been involved in a lot of accidents. They're just trying to hold on to a top 20 finish. But right now, it's single file throughout the rest of the field.
2 laps to go here at Five Flags. Oliver Cordell continues to stretch the lead out. It's now 1.3 seconds over Grayson Ward off of turn 4. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go, and this race is going to finish on schedule. Lap time as Cordell makes his way through 1 and 2.
First battle for position, ironically enough, is going to be for third. 3 wide. Drew Cox, Casey Pierce, and Andy Trupiano going to be 3 wide. But up front, it's going to be the number 17 machine of Oliver Cordell going to end up winning tonight at Five Flags. We're going to have a great battle for third. Andy Trupiano going to end up being in third. Drew Cox fourth. And close battle for fifth. Looks like Casey Pierce gets over Matt Kingsbury for a top 5 finish. What a recovery for the number 18 machine. But your winner tonight is going to be the number 17 of Oliver Cordell.
And he wrecks it going into 3 for some reason, but I guess it's a celebration. But Oliver Cordell picks up his first win of the 2021 Windshield Deep Racing League season. Very nice job by him, dominating the whole entire race. Grayson Ward will bring it home in second. Andy Trupiano comes home third. Drew Cox will bring it home fourth. Casey Pierce fifth. Matt Kingsbury sixth. Dylan Wilson seventh. Daryl McKee eighth. Dominic Crilly ninth. And Ricky Harden will round out the top 10. And we're going to bring our winner in here, have a quick word with him as he's doing his burnouts. Oliver, you got us, man? He's still working on his burnouts. Oliver, you got us?
I got you.
There we go. So, well, we were talking about you at length the whole race. Obviously, you dominated the entire thing pretty much from start to finish. It seems like you led every single lap in this race. Talk about how you're able to do it, man, and why you're finding so much success here tonight.
Ran a few practice laps and felt pretty good about it, and then laid down a pretty good qualifying lap to start up front. And honestly, I just think that's the key in this league is to start up front, because there's a bunch of, I guess, shenanigans going on in the back. Yeah, here we are.
And you were one of the first to come onto pit road to get those tires during that 1 caution period. Is that something you're planning on since the race started, to take them at halfway and go from there? Are we going to try and kind of ride them out as long as you can, or was that just a spur of the moment type call?
In these races with 1 set of tires, I usually try to get to at least halfway, maybe a little later. And I just assumed that we were going to have a few cautions after that. We did.
And that was a good, pretty much a surefire thing in this league, especially. So you know your competition out there, but nonetheless, man, you dominate tonight. Put a whooping on the field. So very, very well done. Anyone who want to give a shout out, thanks to before we let you go here and celebrate?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to all the people running this league: Windshield Deep, Landon Huffman, Dylan Wilson, RJ Williams, all those guys that make this possible.
There he is, everyone. Oliver Cordell, your winner tonight. Congratulations, man. Go enjoy it.
Appreciate it, guys.
And I think that'll about wrap it up here as you see the top 10 on your screen there. So going to be interesting to see. Casey Pierce does get the top 5, so he will probably resume the points lead, but Andy Trupiano might jump up a couple spots. And Kevin, as we've seen in races past and seasons past, it's don't have to win everything, as Trupiano didn't win a race last season to take the championship, but all about consistency, and those guys at the front are pretty much the epitome of it in this league.
Yeah, and it looks like, looking at the points, everyone in the top 5, Drew Cox, Matt Kingsbury, Casey Pierce, Trupiano, all did well except for one guy, and that's the one guy with 1 win, and that was the number 75 machine of Landon Huffman. Ended up finishing 11th, so we recovered pretty nicely after being involved in that late incident with Spencer Dickinson, but he's going to go down a little bit in the points. Looks like he will end up being 5th overall after this event, tied with Drew Cox. So we're going to be going to Iowa next week. Going to be really curious to see how the newer technology, the new progressive banking works with these older cars. I'm really excited to see how that combination plays out.
And that should be a good one next week. Iowa is usually a very exciting track, as is pretty much every track this league goes to. But nonetheless, that'll about wrap up our coverage here tonight. I hope everyone enjoyed. Be sure to come back same time, same places, Windshield Deep on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch to join us next week. And for Rish, Kevin, I'm Sean, and thank you very much for joining, guys. We'll see you same time, same places next week for Iowa. Take it easy, everyone.